Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Tonight, our top story is from Pakistan. The country is going to vote on Thursday. In Pakistan, even democracy becomes a war, you see. The battle lines are clear. On one side is Imran Khan, who, according to independent observers, would have won a free and fair election. But there is little that is either free or fair in Pakistan politics. The all-powerful Pakistan army is determined to stop Imran Khan at all costs. And how far will the Pakistan military go to rig the elections? And how will the people of Pakistan respond? What does all of this mean for the future of Pakistan? Just look at the headlines coming out of the country. Imran Khan has already been sent to jail for years. His party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, or the PTI, is in disarray after Imran Khan, to say the least. The Pakistani court ruled that the former Prime Minister married his wife, Bushra Bibi, illegally. You heard that right. A court in Pakistan has sentenced Khan and his wife to 7 years in prison after voiding their marriage. In the year 2018, Khan married Bushra Bibi, a faith healer. You heard that right too. She is a faith healer who recites her variation of some mantra and prescribes behavior to bring about good luck to her clients. Imran Khan vaulted from client to husband. The court called their marriage un-Islamic and illegal. Like I said earlier, this is Khan's third conviction in a week. He is already in jail for corruption after being convicted of profiting from state gifts. Khan, of course, has said that the numerous charges against him are politically motivated. The PTI chief has said many times he has been denied fair trial. 3 different judges heard 3 different cases against him. Inside Adiala jail in Rawalpindi, he was convicted within 4 days. The entire trial was as hurried as it was chaotic. The public was banned from the proceedings. The media was blocked. Even Khan's own team, in fact, were blocked from taking part. Naturally, Khan has challenged his secret trial. He says it is a violation of the Pakistani constitution, and he has demanded an open trial. But his petition is still pending in Lahore High Court. You see, the 3 judges never waited for the conclusion of his petition. They made a hat trick of convicting Khan just a week before the elections in the country. Khan, it seems, just cannot catch a break, and he may not be wrong after all. Let me tell you how. A few facts first. Pakistan has the 5th highest number of registered voters in the world. The number of registered voters constituting 53.2% of the population, that is 128.5 million voters. There are 69 million male and 59 million female voters. 90,000 plus polling stations have been set up. There are 167 registered political parties, and the last elections in 2018 saw a voter turnout of 51.9%. But unfortunately for voters, the most favored leader is out of the race, and all polls indicate that Imran Khan is the most popular leader in the country. Even before the jail sentences, Khan was disbarred from contesting the elections. The legal trials and tribulations of Khan, you see, are part of a broader purge of his political party. Dozens of PTI leaders have been arrested. Their families have been intimidated. Others have quit under duress. The party logo has been banned by the poll panel. PTI candidates have been censored. Internet blackouts have blocked them from communicating with the voters. Imran Khan has been completely shut out of mainstream media. Imran Khan is facing all of this because he had crossed the red line with the military. His fate, in fact, was sealed when he started targeting the powerful military in the country, and he was gaining more and more popularity because of this. Of course, the Pakistan military generals cannot tolerate this. In their eyes, Khan needed to be put in his place. And that is why, after being ousted by Parliament in the year 2022, Khan continues to face the military's wrath. After all, they are the ones who run the country. Pakistan military holding massive influence in the way elections are held and who comes into power. Of course, military intervention in elections is nothing new for Pakistan. Ironically, in the last general election, the army rigged the polls to get Imran Khan elected. You heard that right as well. That was then. Today, the army's favorite seems to be Nawaz Sharif. This is a farce, a violent farce. On Sunday, a blast took place outside the poll body office in Balochistan's Nushki district. No casualties were reported, but explosions and violence have surged in Balochistan. The region, in fact, has become a focal point of violent clashes between the separatist groups like the Baloch Liberation Army and the Pakistani security forces. And let's not forget, Balochistan is a key location in China's multi-billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, part of Xi Jinping's massive Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative. The stability of Balochistan is vital for the country's security. Not just Balochistan, even Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It is witnessing militant attacks. Today, more than 39 militants attacked a police station in Dera Ismail Khan. At least 10 Pakistan officers were killed. For over 2 hours, there was exchange of fire. Attacks on law enforcement and political figures have heightened the security concerns. This has prompted the authorities to declare many polling stations as sensitive or highly sensitive. The attacks by militant groups are worsening Pakistan's struggle to achieve political stability. Their aim is to combat Pakistan's military. The spike in violence in this area can be traced back to November 2022, when the Pakistani Taliban, TTP, decided to unilaterally end the ceasefire talks with the Pakistan government. And since then, multiple operations conducted by the Pakistan army to eliminate the Pakistani offshoot failed to stop them. To sum it up, from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to Balochistan, Pakistan is facing twin insurgencies. On one hand, you have an Islamist group. On the other, you have ethno-nationalists. It is under these conditions that the country is going to elections. The US State Department has expressed concern about the violence, saying that it could undermine the electoral process. But we would argue that the elections are already compromised. One can bemoan the treatment being meted out to Imran Khan's party, but for those of us who have been tracking the electoral process in Pakistan closely, it's not surprising or new for that matter. This is not the first time a party has been treated in this manner in Pakistan. The other two main national parties, former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's party, Pakistan Muslim League, and Bilawal Bhutto's Pakistan People's Party, both have faced a similar predicament before. Imran Khan may have shown a new kind of populist politics in the country, but the Pakistan army has used the same playbook to bring him down that it has used against Khan's predecessors. Of course, now Imran Khan's rival Nawaz Sharif has reconciled with the army generals and he appears set to win back power. But let's not forget, until recently, Sharif was a fugitive from justice and in self-exile. In the run-up to the elections, something very interesting happened. In what was a convenient turn of events for his party, in early January, Pakistan's Supreme Court overturned lifetime bans on people with criminal convictions from contesting elections. And this paved the way for another Sharif premiership. 6 days later, one of the judges involved in the 2017 judgment, which disqualified Nawaz Sharif from holding public office, prematurely resigned from the Supreme Court. And these developments came after the elections, which were originally expected to take place in November 2023, were postponed. The delay was intended to give the Pakistan military more time to manipulate what happens in the political system. And this is just proof of Pakistan military's role in managing the pre-poll environment in the country. The Pakistan army knows restricting the choices for the voters, and only then can they determine the outcome of the elections. And this, you see, is why Imran Khan has been kept out of the race. As for those who will become the next Prime Minister, the Pakistan generals will make the final call depending on who shows interest in being a puppet of the military. The military is currently betting on Nawaz Sharif. Now it approves of him, so it should not come as a surprise if he wins. As for the fairness of the elections, it's for the world to see. The last time elections were truly free and fair in Pakistan was probably in 1970. In 2024, instead of democracy, we have rigging on an industrial scale. All we can do is sigh while our hearts go out to the people. Our country has been stolen from them. But before we just shift focus away from Pakistan, here's all you need to know about Imran Khan's illegal nikah case. The former Pakistan Prime Minister and his wife, Bushra, have been sentenced to 7 years in prison. They have also been fined by the court after it ruled that their 2018 marriage was illegal. The couple have each been fined 500,000 rupees, which is $1,800. Bushra has been accused of not completing the waiting period mandated by Islam, called Iddat, after divorcing her previous husband and marrying Khan. Bushra's ex-husband, Hawar Manika, to whom she was married for about 30 years, brought the criminal complaint against the Khans. The Khans signed their marriage contract, or nikah, in January 2018. They got married in a secret ceremony 7 months before the former cricket superstar became Prime Minister for the first time. There was a controversy over whether they had wed before the period was complete. After initial denials of the marriage, Khan's party, PTI, had confirmed it weeks later. The Khans have denied wrongdoing. Imran Khan has often called Bushra his spiritual leader. She is known, after all, for her devotion to Sufism, which is a mystical form of Islam. Born Bushra Riaz Vato, she changed her name to Khan after the marriage. Her husband and followers commonly refer to her as Bushra Bibi or Bushra Begum. It's not clear when or how Khan met Bushra, but a former aide, On Chaudhry, said Khan was impressed with her spirituality. The former Prime Minister, who had acquired a playboy image in the 1990s at the height of his cricketing career, said that he is keenly interested in Sufism. Khan's 2 previous marriages to Jemima Goldsmith and television journalist Reham Khan had ended in divorce. Khan, who has in recent days been sentenced to 10 years for leaking state secrets and 14 years for illegally selling state gifts, says that he will launch appeals in all 3 cases. It's not immediately clear if his various sentences would run concurrently. Meanwhile, his wife will serve her sentence at their hilltop mansion in nearby Islamabad. What is the matter with Canada? There is a good reason why I am asking this question. The Canada Security Intelligence Service has released a report naming India as a foreign interference threat. Let me just repeat that. Canada is branding India a foreign interference threat. This is in a top secret report. It was released to the Canadian media under the country's Access to Information Act. And now the world is asking, why on earth is Canada's spy body branding India as a foreign interference threat? The document in question is called Briefing to the Minister of Democratic Institutions on Foreign Interference. It is dated the 24th of February 2023. It states that India's interference would worsen if the government does not intervene. First things first, the allegation of interference is with regard to federal elections of 2019 and 2021. The inquiry into interference was ordered by none other than the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. And this is the first time such an inquiry is naming India. And guess which other country is named in that report? China. It calls Beijing, quote unquote, by far the most significant threat, adding, the PRC's activities are broad in scope and significant in the level of expended resources. The activities are significant, pervasive, and directed against all levels of government and civil society across the country. Let's just come to the case against India. 3 pages of this spy agency report have been devoted to India. But here's where things get all the more interesting. The contents of these pages have been redacted or censored. The only line that has been made public is this: India engages in foreign interference activities. Very convenient, isn't it? Time and again, Canada heaps accusations against India, but fails to follow that up with anything concrete. Let me just remind you here that in September 2023, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau publicly accused India of being behind the shooting of Pakistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. It is February 2024, and Canada has failed to give any evidence to back that claim. And now Canada is accusing India of election interference. Again, without evidence. How do you get to make an unsubstantiated claim of election interference against the world's biggest democracy? How do you release a report, make up a big allegation, and redact the operational part? Which is why I ask, what is wrong with Canada? Meet Jagmeet Singh. He is an ally of Trudeau. Singh is also the leader of the New Democratic Party. Singh has a very interesting theory. He says India influenced Canada's elections through its large diaspora. Quick facts here. 5% of Canadians have Indian origin. 1.8 million Indian origin people live in Canada. But how many of these people can vote in Canada's elections, you ask? Only those with Canadian citizenship. Canada is supposed to go through a rigorous background check before giving a citizenship to any individual or even a PR or permanent residency for that matter. FYI, those on PR cannot vote in Canada's election. It's the same case for those on visas, be it student visa or business visa. My point is, the only Indian origin people voting in Canada's elections are Canadian citizens. So Jagmeet Singh's logic is that Canada's own citizens are voting to rig the poll in favor of India or as per India's interest. This simply does not add up. But here's what does. The vested interest behind coming up with a bizarre allegation against India. The question is Trudeau using this report to take attention off his own troubles? Consider this now. Before the India-Canada row blew up, China's meddling in Canada's election was making headlines. Beijing was being accused of colluding with Trudeau's party. In fact, a lawmaker had to leave Trudeau's party because the media started asking him uncomfortable questions about his dealings with China. This lawmaker's name is Han Dong. He is accused of lobbying with a Chinese diplomat. There was also a leaked intelligence report on China's interference. Not too soon after, Trudeau raked the Nijjar issue. Is this latest allegation against India also Trudeau's way of diverting attention? Is this constant anti-India agenda Trudeau's way of appeasing Pakistani voters at home? Consider this now. A commission on election interference was set up by Trudeau, who will vouch for its neutrality. Human rights groups and the opposition Conservative Party have in fact questioned the credibility of the inquiry process. So there you have it. Justin Trudeau weaving stories to suit his political plans. At what cost, though? How is Trudeau's politics even helping Canada in any case? Let me answer that from an Indian perspective. You know, there was a time when Indians wanted to move to Canada. They would enroll into Canadian universities in the hope to land a job in Canada, eventually become a PR or a permanent resident of Canada, and then gradually become a Canadian citizen. This was the Canadian dream, but this dream has now become a nightmare. The story of the nightmare revolves around the life of an expat in Canada. It starts with the question, what happens once you land in Canada? Is your life as smooth as you have imagined it to be? Is your life as beautiful as the meadows of Canada? Or are people cold to you? Do they discriminate against you? Well, as per data from Statistics Canada, 17.5% immigrants who arrived in Canada between 1982 and 2017 left the country within 20 years. They emigrated again. They packed their bags and left the country they had hoped to make their home. And why do you think that is? The report points at some of the possible reasons. One, immigrants face difficulty trying to integrate into Canada. Two, finding a job in Canada isn't all that easy. Same with finding a place. It's not that easy. That's point number three. This is Canada's harsh reality. It has come to the fore over the past few years, and before that, life in Canada was considered to be a bed of roses. Well, it's not. It never really has been. Today, youngsters emigrating to Canada are struggling to find jobs that match their skill sets and also pay them well. Many are complaining about higher taxes, high housing costs. We have been telling you about Canada's housing crisis for a while now. The country is not constructing enough housing units. As per government data, there is a shortfall of around 345,000 housing units across Canada. And to top that, record high interest rates have made the new housing units extremely expensive for most people. Students are being forced to cough up abysmally high rents. It does not get better for them, given there is also a shortage of part-time jobs. So the end result is a nightmare. Not just for people who are in Canada on a student visa, but children of immigrants who are fresh out of school and are looking to live independently and become financially independent. Millions of people have moved to Canada over the years. They have been lured by the promise of an easy immigration policy and have been fooled by the prospect of a better life. Now they want to move out. For some people, the reason could be as simple as Canada's weather. The temperature in some cities dipping to -30. Life in Canada involved shoveling snow for months, battling the wind chill. And the reason could also be racism or a poor quality of life. And mind you, it's not just Indian immigrants who are moving out of Canada. As per Statistics Canada, over 25% of immigrants born in Taiwan, the US, France, Hong Kong, Lebanon, emigrated within 20 years of landing in Canada. This is the story of a country that claims to be the world's most desirable place for people to live in.
हमारे तीसरे टर्म में भारत दुनिया की तीसरी बड़ी आर्थिक ताकत बनेगा। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, हमारा तीसरा कार्यकाल बहुत बड़े फैसलों का होगा। मैं देख रहा हूं अलायंस का ही अलाइनमेंट बिगड़ गया, और अगर आपका हाथ ईंटें फेंकने पर ही तुला हुआ है, तो आप लिख करके रखिए, आपकी हर ईंट को मैं विकसित भारत की नींव मजबूत करने के लिए।
It is election season in India, On Monday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi set the agenda for his party in the upcoming polls. While giving his motion of thanks on the President's address in the Parliament, Prime Minister Modi launched sharp salvos at the opposition, particularly the Congress party. The Prime Minister accused the Congress of having lost the courage to even contest elections. Prime Minister Modi also promised that India will be the third largest economic power in his third term. Listen in to his fiery speech that was delivered in the Indian Parliament.
G20 समिट के अंदर सारे देश ने देखा है कि पूरा विश्व भारत के लिए क्या सोचता है, क्या कहता है, क्या आशा करता है। और इन सारे 10 साल के कार्यकाल के अनुभव के आधार पर आज की मजबूत अर्थव्यवस्था को देखते हुए जिस तेज गति से भारत विकास कर रहा है, उसकी बारीकियों को जानते हुए मैं विश्वास से कहता हूं, और इसीलिए मैंने कहा है कि हमारे तीसरे टर्म में भारत दुनिया की तीसरी बड़ी आर्थिक ताकत बनेगा, और ये मोदी की गारंटी है। अब हमारी सरकार का तीसरा कार्यकाल भी बहुत दूर नहीं है। ज्यादा से ज्यादा 100-125 दिन बाकी। मैं आमतौर पर ये आंकड़े के चक्कर में नहीं पड़ता हूं, लेकिन मैं देख रहा हूं देश का मिजाज एनडीए को तो 400 पार करवा ही के रहेगा, लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी को 370 सीट अवश्य देगा। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, हमारा तीसरा कार्यकाल बहुत बड़े फैसलों का होगा। मैं देख रहा हूं अलायंस का ही अलाइनमेंट बिगड़ गया। इनको अपने इस कुनबे में अगर एक दूसरे पर विश्वास नहीं है तो ये लोग देश पर विश्वास कैसे करेंगे। 15 अगस्त लाल किले से प्रधानमंत्री नेहरू ने जो कहा था वो मैं जरा पढ़ता हूं। उन्होंने कहा था, हिंदुस्तान में काफी मेहनत करने की आदत आम तौर से नहीं है। हम इतना काम नहीं करते जितना कि यूरोप वाले या जापान वाले या चीन वाले या रूस वाले या अमेरिका वाले करते हैं। ये न समझिए कि वह कौमें कोई जादू से खुशहाल हो गई। वो मेहनत से हुई है और अक्ल से हुई है। ये उनको सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हैं, भारत के लोगों को नीचा दिखा रहे हैं। मैं आपका सहयोग चाहता हूं 140 करोड़ देशवासियों की जिंदगी को और समृद्ध बनाने के लिए और सुखी बनाने के लिए। लेकिन अगर आप साथ नहीं दे सकते हैं और अगर आपका हाथ ईंटें फेंकने पर ही तुला हुआ है तो आप लिख करके रखिए, आपकी हर ईंट को मैं विकसित भारत की नींव मजबूत करने के लिए
The war in Gaza is about to complete 4 months. peace is nowhere in sight. The talks of ceasefire are not going anywhere. Hamas has demanded the release of Marwan Barghouti. He is a leading figure of the group's main political rival, Fatah. He is also the highest profile prisoner held by Israel. Barghouti has become a sticking point in the truce talks, in fact. His popularity among the Palestinians is off the charts, to the point that if he were to be released, he would be chosen as the president. Palestinians see him as the natural successor to Mahmoud Abbas, who currently leads the Palestinian Authority. This has earned Barghouti the moniker of Palestine's Nelson Mandela. Palestinians see him as the only person who can lead the way to a two-state solution. How did the man become so popular, really? Over 20 years ago, the Israeli forces arrested Barghouti. This was during the Second Intifada. He was sentenced to 5 life terms in prison, but that was not enough to stop Barghouti. Despite being behind the bars, he played a key role in signing the prisoner's document in 2006, written by Palestinian prisoners. This text basically called for the creation of a Palestinian state as per the mutual ceasefire and for Palestinians to uphold their right to resist occupation. Although the document was never implemented, it made headlines because Barghouti was able to negotiate it with Hamas. Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Essentially, he was able to bring the different factions on the same page. Achieving all this while being a prisoner earned Barghouti extraordinary gravitas. And as the years went by, Barghouti positioned himself as the only person capable of uniting Palestinian political groups. As you can see for yourself, it is Hamas that is demanding his release, despite Fatah being its main political opponent. You see, Hamas is trying to rally public support, and Barghouti is its best bet. Apart from him, Hamas has also named Ahmad Sadat. Sadat is the head of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine group. He is serving a 30-year sentence for his role in the 2001 assassination of Israeli tourism minister. These are by far the most detailed demands raised by Hamas. And then there are the initial demands, of course, for a permanent ceasefire and the release of the prisoners. For Palestinians, the plight of their imprisoned loved ones is deeply emotional. While Israel considers these prisoners as terrorists, Palestinians see them as heroes battling Israeli occupation. Data suggests Israel is currently holding nearly 9,000 prisoners. Virtually every Palestinian has a friend, relative, or acquaintance who has been imprisoned. Hamas seeks the release of all of them. And as for the Israeli side, the authorities estimate 136 hostages remain in captivity in Gaza, though 20 have been pronounced dead. Protests calling for the hostages' immediate release are sweeping Israel. There are fears that time is running out to bring them home safely. It might already be too late for that. Pressure has been mounting on the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, to salvage a deal. And now comes the demand of Barghouti's release. It has become Netanyahu's latest headache. Will Israel be forced to free Barghouti? And if he is released, what would that mean for the Israeli government? Let's now look at the wider war in West Asia. Late on Sunday, an American base in eastern Syria was attacked by drones. The training ground of the Al Omar base came under fire. 6 U.S. allied Kurdish fighters have been killed. No American troops were harmed. Who carried out that attack is the question. The Islamic resistance in Iraq has claimed responsibility. The umbrella group of Iran-backed militias released a video, in fact. The clip showed the fighters launching a drone from an unspecified location. The drone attack came in response to what happened over the weekend. The US and the UK launched a wave of strikes on Iran-backed targets. Here's a timeline. On Sunday, the US struck a land attack cruise missile and 4 anti-ship missiles in Yemen. It claims that the Houthis were prepared to launch against American ships in the Red Sea. On Saturday, American and British warplanes, along with 6 allies, launched strikes at dozens of sites in Yemen. Reports say at least 30 targets were struck across at least 10 locations. A joint statement from the allies revealed that the targets included weapons storage facilities, missile launchers, air defense systems and radars. The strikes were aimed at deterring the Houthis' attacks on Red Sea shipping. Before this, the US also attacked 6 Houthi anti-ship cruise missiles. On Friday, the US carried out airstrikes on more than 85 targets in Syria and Iraq. The Pentagon said these attacks targeted command and control operations, intelligence centers, weapons facilities and bunkers used by Iran's Quds Force and affiliated militia groups. At least 16 people, including civilians, were killed. Now, you see, the strikes in Yemen are distinct from the attacks in Iraq and Syria. In Yemen, the US is responding to ongoing Houthi attacks on international shipping lanes, also on American warships in the Red Sea. But the attacks in Iraq and Syria were an answer for the deadly attack that killed 3 US troops in Jordan, remember. And what's common is the fact that the US is targeting Iranian-backed groups in West Asia. The situation is getting tense by the day. And amid all this chaos, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is making yet another visit to the region. Yes, this is his 5th visit since the war broke out in Gaza. He is expected to visit Saudi Arabia, Israel, Egypt and Qatar. And what exactly does he intend to achieve this time around? Well, Blinken's top priority is to secure a new truce in the Israel-Hamas war. He will also be addressing the ongoing Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. And ahead of that visit, Blinken also stressed on the need for addressing humanitarian needs in Gaza. But the question is it going to be any different from his last 4 tours? Will India face Chinese robots in the Himalayas? The reason why I'm asking this question is because of a report that talks about how China aims to replace human agents with machines. You heard that right. But what exactly is China planning to do? What led to this move? What is the end goal? Let's break it all down for you. Now, according to this report, in China's city of Chengdu, a unit of the People's Liberation Army, or PLA, has been working with scientists to develop drones. What for? Well, these drones are meant to replace human beings in overseas missions. And what is the timeline looking like for this? Within a decade. Yes, within the next 10 years. And what exactly will these drones be capable of doing? What are we looking at? Basically, the unmanned aerial vehicle, or UAV, will be able to go underwater and be there for long durations. Also to be able to fly and cover huge distances. According to the report, a paper published in the Fire Control and Command Control Journal contained details about a hypothetical special operations plan. What exactly was this about? Basically, the mission is set in the year 2035. It involves a conflict between China and a neighbor. In this scenario, the mission of the Chinese military is to target enemy installations, and for this, they used drones, only drones. But these will not be ordinary drones. They would have special capabilities. Basically, they would be designed for special operations and should be able to carry out the operation silently while avoiding detection and targeting enemy boats. They should be capable of staying underwater submerged for long and make quick maneuvers after they emerge. Precision attacks should be carried out by them. And not just that, even after the attack, they should be able to continue the operation, basically gauge the damage caused to be able to figure out if any more action is needed to be carried out. But the question is, why would this theoretical plan be revealed in the first place? After all, details like these should remain under wraps, right? Why would China want to blow the lid of its game plan for its missions like these? Well, the strategy here has been that revealing the plan would help those who are developing new UAVs, to know about the requirements of the Chinese military, to be aware of the aims and the targets that the military has. And what led to this? What was the inspiration or the trigger? According to the PLA team, inspiration came from the American military. And the plan is huge. China wants to trigger a race as far as unmanned aerial vehicles are concerned. The aim basically is to have cutting-edge technology. And as we all know, China's defense requirements are rising. And its mission is to meet those needs. And replacing humans with machines is a step in that direction. Super Bowl 2024 is just 6 days away. It is the annual championship game of America's National Football League, NFL. There is a lot of money involved. The stadium is packed. Celebrities attend the game. They headline halftime performances. In the year 2023, Rihanna performed during the Super Bowl in Arizona. In the year 2022, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. and Kendrick Lamar kept the audience on their feet. The year before that, it was The Weeknd. Shakira, Jennifer Lopez's halftime in 2020 became the talk of the town. I'm sure most of you remember that performance. This year, Usher will be performing at halftime. The game will be hosted in Las Vegas. It will be the 58th annual Super Bowl. And who is playing? The San Francisco 49ers will be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The game is on the 12th of February. It's a big night, not only for sports, but also the American economy. You see, millions of dollars are spent on travel, hotels, food, drinks, and advertisements. Super Bowl is the ultimate place for brands to associate with. It is a coveted platform for advertising. Brands like to showcase their new product in between the match. They like to advertise their services, be it to the live audience or on TV. Because how often do you have some 70,000 people packed in a stadium or 110 million people tuned in live? Yes, that's how many people are expected at this year's Super Bowl. This, you see, is an advertiser's dream. But a spot at this year's game will not come cheap. For 30 seconds, brands will have to pay $7 million. You heard that right. $7 million for 30 seconds. That's the cost of advertising at Super Bowl. And who is buying these slots? CBS Sports saying its slots on CBS and Nickelodeon are sold out. Every year, brands produce ambitious commercials for Super Bowls. Brands start teasing these commercials weeks in advance. Some use celebrities, some use humor or pets and cute animals to appeal to Super Bowl fans. Is it worth the investment, though, is the question. Last year, the General Motors stock rose nearly 5% on the day its Super Bowl ad and Netflix partnership was announced. The ad starred Will Ferrell along with characters from Netflix hits like Stranger Things, Squid Games. The ad also featured multiple GM car models. What was the impact? Cars.com reports a 50% increase in site traffic to the advertised models around the time the ad aired. This year, we know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is featuring in a State Farm ad. Kris Kardashian will be seen promoting Oreos. A spot at Super Bowl has never come cheap. A 30-second ad back in the year 2004 could cost around $2.3 million. In 2014, the number rose to $4 million. This number has gone up 75% in a decade. This year's Super Bowl is all the more special for advertisers. Any guesses why? Taylor Swift. The star will be seen cheering for her partner and Kansas City Chiefs star Travis Kelce. Experts believe that Swift's attendance in itself at the Super Bowl will boost the event's viewership and get Swifties from around the world to watch that event. This year, the NFL has already recorded its best viewership since the year 2000. Kansas City Chiefs games saw a 7% jump in viewership as compared to last year. And what changed between this season and the last one? Taylor Swift started attending the games. She will also be attending, or at least is expected to attend, the Super Bowl on the 12th of February. And here you had advertisers betting on the Taylor Swift magic. What does Boeing's fall mean for the United States of America? Well, things are going from bad to worse for the American plane maker. It has discovered a new problem with the unfinished 737 jets now. What problem, you ask? Misdrilled holes in the plane's fuselage. This is Stan Deal. He is the chief executive of Boeing's commercial plane unit. In his memo to Boeing employees, Deal said, the misdrilled holes are not an immediate flight safety issue. But is that really so? Let's just remind Boeing that in the past, its apparent non-issues have proven to be fatal and near fatal. On the 5th of January, a door panel of a Boeing 737 MAX blew out mid-air. And following that incident, MAX 9 jets were grounded in the US. Upon inspection, multiple loose parts were found on 737 MAX planes operated by United Airlines and Alaska. Here in India as well, a washer was missing from at least one MAX plane. Did Boeing ever flag a missing washer as a flight safety issue? This American plane maker is guilty of prioritizing profit over safety, prioritizing shareholder returns over clients. It never briefed its clients about the new MCAS system in the 737 MAX jets. What was the end result? In 2018, 189 people lost their lives in the Lion Air 737 MAX crash. And less than 6 months later, a MAX plane operated by Ethiopian Airlines went down, killing all 157 people on board. Airlines around the world are making notes as Boeing makes one safety blunder after another. This is Tim Clark. He is the president of Emirates. In a recent interview, Clark warned Boeing that the plane maker is in the quote-unquote last chance saloon. Clark highlighted how he has seen a progressive decline in Boeing's performance. He added that Emirates would be sending its own engineers to observe the production process of Boeing's 777 jets. Emirates is one of Boeing's biggest customers. In November, it placed an order for 95 777 and 787 jets. The order is valued at $52 billion. What happens if going forward, Emirates stops ordering jets from Boeing? No airline wants to risk safety. No airline wants to lose customers or its ratings for that matter. Last month, the CEO of United Airlines spoke about Boeing's quote-unquote consistent manufacturing challenges. Scott Kirby said, and I'm quoting, "I think the MAX 9 grounding is probably the straw that broke the camel's back for us." What happens when American airliners lose trust in American Boeing? United, we told you, is already making plans for a future without Boeing's MAX 10 jets. The planes are years behind delivery schedule. Across the Atlantic, Europe's biggest airliner, Ryanair, said it was putting more of its engineers in factories that build Boeing planes. Ryanair also is one of Boeing's biggest customers, and it's now showing signs of losing trust in the plane maker. What the fall of Boeing means for American economy is the question. Boeing stocks are constantly in red. It has fallen over 17% in the last 1 month and 18% year to date. Boeing was once an emblem of American soft power. It is now an American headache. Boeing's history begins during the First World War, and ever since, the company and its home country have relied on one another. Boeing has created jobs, some of America's finest fighter jets. Boeing boosted U.S. exports by supplying passenger jets worldwide. U.S. President Barack Obama hired members of the Boeing board to serve as his chief of staff and Commerce Secretary. For decades, the White House has been an out-and-out advocate for Boeing jets. Here's what Obama once told employees at a Boeing plant. I have to say that given the number of planes that I have been selling around the world, I expect a gold watch upon my retirement. US President Joe Biden flies around the world in a Boeing 747-200B series jet, but today Boeing is no longer looked at as shining America's star. Boeing jets are referred to as flying coffins. As this American icon falls from the sky, American markets, American politics, and American soft power will all suffer damage. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching. Good night.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.